Hello, everyone. My name is Daquan Peel, and welcome to another episode of this podcast. Today, I am joined by
Alex Wooden.
and
Daniel Doherty.
and today we'll be talking about specific social experiences that happen here at the North Carolina School of Science and Math. And so, Alex, you were the one that had wanted to talk about this, so I guess it would be suitable for you to lead.
Okay, well, I wanted to talk about these. Well, there's this thing called IVISs on campus, and for those of you that don't know, what does the acronym stand for?
Inter-hall visitation.
Yeah, and it's basically where everyone, they have a party on a certain hall, like a living dorm, and on paper it sounds pretty fun, and generally they aren't that bad. They're pretty, all right to go to. But the other one, the one that we've had most recently, was the strangest thing that I've encountered in a while, because the theme was frat boy theme, and everybody knows what a frat boy theme. I'm not going to explain it, but that was
Fraternity boy.
Yeah. But that was the theme, and so it's like, okay, whatever. And usually I don't try for these, not to be like edgy, like I don't want to dress up for this, but I just don't put in the effort. But I went to one of the buildings, like Hunt, Fourth West, and on that hall, it was just everyone just like, oh, does this look good? Does this look like a frat boy? Is this better? Is this better?
People were like obsessed with trying to match the theme.
They were very obsessed with it, and it birthed this thing of just mass insecurity, which is what the epitome of a frat boy is.
Okay.
And so everybody was like a little bit more on edge, like mean. And Daniel's a prime example of this, because Daniel's very, he's a good dude. He's nice.
Appreciate it.
I guess I shouldn't have name dropped, but I mean, you're here.
Well, he's on
so.
the podcast. It would make sense.
But you were like, wanted, your sole purpose and goal was to complete this frat boy fit, and nothing else mattered.
It wasn't really completing the frat boy fit. It was going so over the top with it that it was like a different thing.
I feel that might come from people just wanting to play along, because like when we think it's a party, and when you're invited to a party and it has a specific theme, like it's generally considered rude to not participate, especially if you can help it. And so I think that most of that insecurity came from, oh, do I look frat boy enough? Which, as you say, is an epitome of a frat boy. So maybe that was the point to make people feel uncomfortable. But I feel that kind of just mass everyone dressing up on a Fourth West hall here, a dormitory hall here on NCSSM. I think that's mainly just people trying to participate actively in a social setting.
But like even then, it was like we had another IVIS before this one, and it was pajama themed, and no one really cared about that one. I didn't see anyone stressing over, oh, I'm not wearing pajamas. Like it was just, they just came and they left.
Yeah, and so definitely like juxtaposing those two events next to each other would definitely seem weird that a lot of people would be hyped up over one IVIS as opposed to another. And I feel that might be because of advertising, because in my experience, there was the same IVISs happened in my junior year, and I don't remember the pajama viz, like people telling me like, oh, you should wear pajamas for this, but I do remember the frat boy viz. And this kind of shines on a larger aspect of how the inter-hall visitation parties are mainly governed by tradition. I'm going to take the Fourth West IVIS, which is one of the first ones we had at the school, into consideration. Just about every year, it happened last year, it's the same as this year, everyone wears black, and it's usually regarded as where everyone finds someone to grind on, and it's a grind fest in the most secular way I can describe it. It's just people rubbing their body parts on each other for a certain amount of period. In fact, if you think about it, it's kind of like the epitome of teenage debauchery.
Yeah.
But especially this one this year, it got kind of out of hand and it got shut down for reasons.
It's because of the light policy, right? Because they usually have it so obviously they don't want people turning off the lights because you can't see what people are doing when the lights are off. And
Also, the doors are closed.
and the doors are closed.
Yeah.
And it's very, very sweaty and moist, and just you don't want a lot of moist kids in
I
a dark
believe
room.
it got so bad that like you could see sweat like recondense on like the dressing walls or like the walls of people's closets. Like they were
my
like
God.
slick with sweat or technically water, but
Yeah,
yeah,
you
it's
could see it on the pipes. It was dripping on like down on people.
yeah.
But
The same thing happened last year, surprisingly enough. It was held in the Woolworth Room, which is a historic site here on NCSSM. People were grinding so close to like a general center that the roof was started to like shine with sweat, and so
God.
this brings me back into my point that like a lot of eye visits are mainly just like okay, well, this is how it's been for the past 15 years, and none of the juniors like actually really care enough about it to actually change a tradition, and the seniors are pretty much just following what their seniors told them.
yeah, I guess it's just all tradition, which I mean, it's not a bad thing because it's fun to talk about. Because I mean, look, in the moment, it's probably not the best thing, and it's probably disgusting. But looking back on it, it's like, oh yeah, there's that person that grinded on this person, and that was kind of funny. Yeah, it's like
definitely a pleasant memory.
yeah.
And so-
And then if you like step back a bit from just looking at it as it's a tradition, so it has to be this way. Just look at the frat boy viz, for example. You just have a bunch of people competing to see who can dress most like a frat boy and then packing themselves like sardines in a really thin hall.
Yeah.
And if you just step back from that doesn't sound like a very appealing thing. It's just the power of tradition and the power of you have a bunch of juniors coming in here trying to match a certain lifestyle that they want to meet. Just gets people to do things that they wouldn't otherwise do for the sake of meeting that standard.
Okay, yeah, definitely. And I also feel that like inter-hall visitations, eye visits are a very, very old thing. It's the same as a school. It started back in, I want to say, the 1970s. And so, and like a party back in 1970 was a lot different than a party in 2019, let's be honest. And so I feel that because of the like changing cultural shift on what a party is, it kind of puts juniors and seniors alike in a weird position because it's like, okay, well, we have to uphold the tradition of like this decades old tradition, or we could try and like actually have fun like we know how to ever since we were like raised. And so it's weird. And so I feel that because of that, a lot of people go to eye visits and leave them unsatisfied because they're looking for something that's not really there.
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of been most of my experiences with IVIS. That's why I think the frat boy IVIS is probably going to be my last one, because I was sitting down with a friend and he was like, you know what, this is probably not going to be, it's going to be all right, but at the end of the day, we're not going to see anything that we didn't expect. So I forced him to basically go out there, and I mean, we had fun doing what we had, doing whatever that was there, eating fries. But besides that, it did get old, and you could tell that it was getting on everybody's faces, because we left to go to Waffle House, and we came back, and everyone was just outside. They left the IVIS, or they moved it, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't know, I guess they just didn't like the space, but...
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, Royal is, like, this is where the frat boy IVIS was being held, is a very, like, kind of close quarter place. Like, the hallways are slim, the rooms they're relatively large. But other than that, it's not, like, the prime location for a party, which
Definitely
I say
not.
in air quotes.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah. And so, like, Hill Street, which is kind of colloquially defined as like the hangout spot of NCSSM, especially given another tradition, Happy Half, which is when 30 minutes before check, which is where you have to sign back on hall to make sure that the administration knows that you didn't like run off and go do something in the middle of Durham. The 30 minutes before that happens, people will congregate on Hill Street and enjoy festivities, so just music or just talking to people.
Yeah, usually. But that's like, honestly, Happy Half has a lot of it contributes a lot to the clickiness of the school because it's literally, if you go out there now, like a few weeks in, you'll see literally just circles and circles of people, but then none of them are actually like connected. It's just multiple different circles.
You could just the basic geometry of it. You can see very tight-knit groups with not a lot of people in between, having their own sort of subcultures, and just sort of sticking within that and being very insular to kind of maintain that. And so the original point of Happy Half, obviously, if you went in the first couple weeks, was
to make friends.
Everyone went. You had all of the RLAs going about trying to connect people, get people to make friends, and that was actually what it was intended to do. And then now we have Happy Half just taking the already existing social disparities and just making them wider, because it's very obvious to know whether you're in a circle or not in it. And that's sort of the same way IVIS works, is like you either have a room that you show people and you're succeeding at IVIS, or you don't and you're not. You're either know people and are in a circle, or you're straggling and you don't have the best frat boy outfit, and then like, why are you even there?
Right.
Yeah, that's another thing with like the pressure of opening your room, because I've been not necessarily on like the receiving end where I've had to prepare my room for an IVIS, but I've helped friends prepare theirs.
At least not yet.
Oh yeah, not yet, obviously. Well, even then, I don't think I would.
Yeah.
But the pressure of, it's our hall doing an event, we have to open up a room. Why wouldn't we open up a room? And then just the like amount of pressure of just walking people or seeing people walk by and just like staring them down, because that's basically what IVIS is boiled down to. It's either
an evaluation of like, is your room cool enough for me to spend my time into it?
Yeah. It's like you see all these many different like ecosystems, and you're just like, they're looking at you from the inside out, and they're not necessarily hoping for you to go into their room, but they want the validation of, this room is suitable for guests, or this room is suitable for, a party.
Yeah, it's a very interesting kind of paradigm, because you have someone that you probably don't know getting into somewhere that as intimate as where you sleep every day. Like, it's very odd, because it's like, I would like you to be in here because I've been told that this is how this works, essentially. But what happens when that doesn't happen? And so I feel that a lot of people end up gaming IVISs, and this is going back to the whole clicky thing, is just like, you just get your friends that you already know to go into your room, because you already have like a more built up relationship with those people, so it would make sense that those are the people that are going to be in your room.
Exactly.
And so, yet again, I would say that IVISs aren't necessarily the place to make friends. It's more the place to make memories with friends you already have.
Yeah. Do you have anything?
And so Alex and I are roommates, and so we kind of made the decision, just because we could keep up better appearances in our room. We could have more decorations. We don't, though. And so we kind of made the decision that if First Hill, which is the hall that we're both on, has an IVIS, we're probably not going to open it up, just because we don't have anything to show people.
Exactly.
I can only empathize with the people where maybe one of the roommates really wants to show off the LEDs and the music tastes and whatever they have, and maybe the other person doesn't. Maybe the other person just doesn't mess with the concept of IVIS. And so then you have another situation where like you're sort of forced to get subsumed into the clickiness.
Yeah, definitely. And so I have a question for you too. Did you guys know each other prior to rooming at NCSSM?
No. Not at all.
Okay,
no.
cool.
He sent me one email, and I was like, okay, I guess people do that.
Yeah, and so this is aligning with your point, Daniel, about how you have a bunch of teenagers who don't know each other, and you force them to be in a room together with very minimal leeway if they don't like each other.
Yeah.
And now you're expecting them to work together to open up a room.
Yeah.
And the structure doesn't work. It doesn't work.
It doesn't.
And that is another reason why a lot of IVISs, I guess, fail with subjective definition, because like not everyone is operating on the same page. And
it's all half effort.
Yeah.
It's very half effort. And so like, I'm not even sure if everyone, all of the girls on Royal were like okay with the fact that their IVIS was the frat viz, because like they were most definitely told that, and like a bunch of juniors, the junior girls on hall, what if they have no interest in having a frat visit at all whatsoever? They kind of have to, they are subservient to the flow of what the seniors are telling them, and so
Yeah,
then
right.
and they're going to tell their juniors once they become seniors the same thing, and thus the cycle
Right.
continues.
Like what are they going to do? Are they going to challenge the system as it is? No.
Right,
You're not
exactly.
going to come in a month and a half in and say, I don't really like this. This doesn't.
Yeah, it's
I'm
like we're gonna have a
uncomfortable with
mutiny on IVIS.
That's not going to happen.
That's why the only reason why I wanted to open up my room, the only reason why I had a faint idea of opening up my room for any IVIS is because of how crusty it is. Like,
Did you
Our
define
room
crusty?
is very crusty.
and to define crusty, it is very not presentable for guests.
Okay,
and
so it's dirty.
It's okay. Well,
cluttered.
it's cluttered,
It's cluttered.
and the layout is not necessarily like good for like 3 people plus.
Uh-huh.
So I think it would be hilarious to just cram in a bunch of people in there and have like all the lights off and just play whatever music ever, just terrible music or whatever, and just accept the crustiness. And I think that would be really fun.
We couldn't
But
pull it off. We could not pull that off. We would just get clowned on.
we probably would get clowned on, but I think I would enjoy that as long as people don't mess with my stuff.
That
But
would be a
people-
really interesting social experiment, actually, to see
Yeah,
if people
yeah.
would subscribe to that. Is
Because if it's the most lit, like, I mean,
because
okay,
like if
excuse
it
me for
yeah
saying
I
lit.
see what you mean, but like comparatively, if every other room is either closed or is just not as popping,
Yeah.
as the kids call it these days, then people will eventually funnel into the crusty room.
Exactly, and the crust, everybody will accept the crust and be one entity. There'll be no cliques. There'll be no cliques. It'll be everyone joining together in the crust.
We'll
Eventually-
seize the means of production.
Eventually, us being crusty will just turn crusty into a positive adjective. Like,
Yes.
oh, did you see his room? It was so crusty, bro.
Exactly, and
You'll be a trendsetter.
we'll be trendsetters. It's just enlightenment thinking, honestly. But okay, back to like a lot of previous points. The way that iVises are set up, it's like, okay, you know you have your friend. You talked about like having certain friends in your like room. That's the only point, is to get your group of friends in the room. Well, 7 times out of 10, one person is going to be involved in many different circles, and because it's so cliquey, those circles are not going to overlap. So even if you do see someone's room that you don't really, you feel the urge to go in there, but you see like unrecognizable faces, and so that just kind of it bogs it down a little. So I don't know.
The experience of being in an IVIS where you just walk into the room of someone you know and you just get every face that you don't recognize to just stare directly at you as
Yeah.
you come in the doorway.
It's very
It's-
uncomfortable.
yeah.
It's very uncomfortable, which is like you still feel pressured because it is your friend.
Yeah, it's like you should go in there, but then like it feels like only one person is telling you should go in there, and everyone else is like, "Who are you?
Yeah.
who is this?
But then
Why are
again,
you here?"
it's like even it goes back to that old, like it goes back to the validation. It's you are sacrificing their validation at the expense of awkwardness. Like you're not going in there, but what if they think, oh, do they not like my room? Was it not that good? And then it adds on way
Right, and
too
you have
many
to
layers.
explain that later. And so this also goes to the fact that, especially if it's a junior trying to walk into a junior room, you've only known each other for what, a month?
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, a month-ish, month and a half.
Yeah.
It's like it's not like you guys have a very deep relationship as opposed to someone who's known someone else for like a year.
Yeah.
Like that's just a fact of life. It's like you're not going to be close with someone until you spend a large amount of time with that someone.
Yeah.
And for that, I would like to bring in the concept of just halls in general, like dormitories. I feel that those are useful because your hall is kind of like your ground zero.
Yeah.
Honestly, when it comes to like making friends, because like the people on that hall are the people that you're going to see the most. Usually it's going to, well, not usually, but it's going to be like the same sex because of
Basic principles.
yeah, basic basic principles and teenage hormones. But
Yeah.
but it's because of that like those are your first friends that you're going to make. And so I think this is me just kind of like projecting, but I feel that you and and Daniel over the year will eventually become closer simply because of the fact that you have to sleep next to each other.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard not to be close to someone that you don't sleep less than 5 yards away from.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think we definitely lucked out though, because
Absolutely.
I definitely know people who they clash with their roommates just by random luck of the draw roommate selection so hard that even if they sleep 5 yards away from each other, they're never going to be like any more close than they were after the first month, just because they're very different people. We're very different people, but I feel like we kind of lucked out in that we still kind of click on a lot of
Yeah,
things.
there's some overlap.
Right.
Yeah, and I've witnessed it firsthand. I witnessed like just one of my friends the other day. We were walking by and we were going up an elevator, and we happened to exit it, and she just got really mad, and I was like, oh, what's the problem? And then she just talked about how she had such a negative relationship with one of her roommates. And I was like, I didn't even know that was possible. Like, that idea never struck me, or that concept. Because I just felt like it can't get that bad. But then when you look around, you'll obviously see people that you probably wouldn't be that close to, or you might not even like that much. And so just imagine living with them every single day, that definitely would get you. So, yeah.
And I think that might be attributed to the fact that not everyone comes in with a like growth mindset. Like not everyone comes in like receptive to the fact that they're going to have a roommate. I feel that if you had the opportunity to live in a single, like when you apply to NC system, it's like I feel a lot of juniors would take that choice simply because of the fact that they are like averse to opening themselves up
Absolutely.
to a new person.
Yeah.
Because like it's a really scary thing when you think about it, because like this is some foreign party that you do not know and they do not know you, but now all of a sudden you have to be like you have to operate,
You have to coexist.
Right, you have to coexist. There has to be like some form of symbiosis for both of you to have a productive and enjoyable experience here. And so I mean, and one bad apple spoils the bunch. So if one person is just like humans are bad, then it's like that's kind of curtains. And so it's unfortunate when it happens, but yeah, it's not as rare as you think. Especially because the campus is so incredibly small. We have less than 1,000 people here. A lot of drama, I guess, kind of goes like
It spreads like a wildfire.
all right. Not only does it spread on a wildfire, but it spreads quietly.
What do you mean by that?
By what I mean when it spreads quietly is that like, let's say someone does something to someone else.
Okay.
More than half the campus can know about it the next day, and nothing be said like aloud. Like,
oh, right. Yeah. No one's gonna talk about it.
No one's gonna talk about it. Like everyone is
It's
under
just silently judged it.
It's,
Right.
Yeah.
it's taboo to be open about it, but you
Yeah.
still know about it eventually.
Exactly, because like I'm sure you guys have had your fair shares of like, oh, did you hear so and so did this,
Right.
right?
All the time.
Right, but
Yeah.
and then you would probably tell it to someone else, and then that would be it. Like you wouldn't
Yeah.
talk about it again unless so and so, this is a different so and so, did something else.
Yeah. I mean, it adds on to. I think that's mainly because of just living together. You're gonna have roommates that are closer, and they're going to talk about things as if they are like family. So I mean, obviously, stuff is gonna get around a lot quicker, and then there are just people that don't.
Yeah, they're battling like it's pretty much a verbal battle anytime.
Yeah,
they see
basically.
each other. It's just
Yeah.
like, I don't like you and you don't like me, but if we don't get along, then
There are a lot of conflicting forces
Yeah.
on campus.
And the fact that it's really small, like Daquan said, also adds to it. Like, I'm a junior. I come from the largest school in the state, like 5,000 something students. And so you could have a fight or an expulsion or some huge drama happen where you just don't know anyone. And so that prevents it from really like festering and making everyone's lives.
yeah, you lack that personal connection because like as you go around in campus, you end up knowing a lot of people, even if it's just by name. And so like once you hear that name get involved in something, it's just like, oh man,
Yeah.
it's hard to forget.
Yeah, I'm a junior and I come from a very, very minuscule school of like in a very small town. And so honestly, this place to me, it's a lot. Obviously, it's a lot bigger, but I think even if you do have a conflict with someone, it's not that hard to avoid them. There will definitely be times, because it's a small campus, so there'll definitely be times where you'll see them, but you really don't have to interact with them at all.
Yeah.
And I mean, I call them ops, right? Like this, it's because
Opposite, like opposition. Or?
Yeah, like the
Okay.
opposition, opposite. I mean, okay, usually it's referred to as usually like an opposite gang. Yeah, in the words of TK himself.
Okay.
Obviously, but nobody says it. But if you have an op, then chances are you won't have to interact with them for at least 2 years, and even then, you probably won't. You guys will become strangers at that point. You will have had zero interactions for so long that it would just feel like nothing.
It'll be kind of like a reset
Yeah.
of sorts. And I think that kind of goes into the old adage of like time healing all wounds, because I mean you can definitely like have someone that is your essential nemesis for like a very large amount of your life, but then like all of a sudden they're gone, and then like after those like maybe 2, 4, 10 years, like both of you are growing and changing, evolving and maturing. You might see each other in the middle of Walmart, and then like either you don't interact or you guys hit it off. There's been many a times where like you see this in media, but also just in real life, where people have like absolutely hated each other, and then like they spent some time apart, and like now sometimes they're in relationships, sometimes they're just really good friends.
Right.
Time changes people, and it's interesting to see how time can affect two different people 2 different ways.
And also because of the clickiness and general
Clickiness on campus.
Yeah, clickiness on campus. You will definitely form a lot of positive relationships, especially if you put yourself out there. You will form many, many positive relationships that you will probably think about for maybe the rest of your life. So, I mean, this place does impact you both negatively and positively, but I'd say it definitely counters out.
Yeah. And so I would say that this is also a very good representation of like what real life is like.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, the people that you see in like your daily life, whatever your routine is, whether you have a job or a career, or you just kind of sit, it's very likely you won't be seeing. You'll see like a ton of different people as you go, like day to day, like driving and whatnot. But you'll have like a base of maybe 50 to 100 or 175 people that you'll tend to interact with, whether they be your friends or not. In fact, there's actually a scientific term for this. I forget what it's called, but basically it's the amount of friends one brain can like tolerate.
Really?
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's larger for some people and smaller for others.
What's the minimum?
Usually the minimum is around like 75 to 100, but there's some people that can hit like the 250, 300 range.
Right.
And they've also established a link between like the higher ranges with more extroverted people, which makes sense.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that I can't remember the name at the moment. This would give my argument a lot more credibility, but just believe me.
But I mean, I don't think, when you think about it like that, like think about, oh, you can only have 75 friends, or you can only have this many friends, then I don't know, it's kind of weird. I think, for me personally, I like to keep a very close-knit group. I have very strong opinions on many things, and I think that kind of that clears the way for me, basically. So
either people are with you or against you.
Yes, exactly. And if they are, then,
I think I'm a little different. I prefer to sort of just have these disparate people that I like talk to and am friends with. And the whole clickiness doesn't work with me here, just because I think a lot of people here are just past the first couple weeks where they really try to break the ice. They're not really receptive to.
You get tired.
You get tired. You get busy, and you're not really receptive to like opening yourself up to new people that you might not have known. I've had interactions. I told you about these, Alex, where I have 2 different friends from like entirely different cliques, let's say.
Yeah.
And I happen to have both of them encounter each other, and my brain breaks. Like I don't know what to do.
Oops.
It's like, that's another thing. It's okay. I have said this many times, and I've sounded like a madman to all of my friends, but you can definitely feel crossover episodes. If you think about the world as one big TV network or channel, and every individual has their own show, you can absolutely feel a crossover episode. And it's not a bad thing. It's definitely it's strange, but it's strange good. Like, oh my God, why is this happening? But let it happen, you know?
Yeah. I would following the whole like crossover episode motif, in my experience of like making friends, most of my friends have been made like from crossover episodes, because what will happen is it's very vampiric, but like I'll make one friend and then that friend will have a friend and I'll become friends with that friend.
Oh, okay.
And then that friend will also have another group of friends, and so then I'll matriculate into that group of friends, and in that group of friends someone in there is friends with another group of friends, and so very slowly I'll end up just kind of collecting and amassing just a web of people who are either my friends or I at least know.
Like a virus.
Yeah, it's literally like a virus, and I think that is related to the fact that my personality is infectious.
It is.
I know somebody who is very extroverted, and the way he sort of met people and meets people here is on the weekends. So here at NCSM on the weekends, we don't have classes. There are some like school-sponsored events, but really it's the time is what you make of it. You can hang out with people, you can get work done, you can study. And what he does is he just will spend some time just walking around campus. And then if he finds someone he knows, he will talk to them. And if those people know people he doesn't know, he'll talk to them. And he has gotten this very large group of friends, just sort of putting himself out there, getting that time between the clicks, and just sort of getting that web.
That requires a lot of confidence.
It does.
A lot of confidence that I may gain, but I just do not have that right now.
That might just be attributed to the whole like extrovert introvert thing. If you feel like putting yourself in a group, but I definitely agree with you the fact that like confidence is key in terms of making friends, because confidence is one of the most like important foundations of communication.
Right.
If you don't believe what you're saying, you can't really say it.
Yeah, and others won't believe it either.
Right.
It's crap. What was I thinking about? It was what did you say earlier?
About the friend limit thing?
No, you said confidence. Confidence is key.
Yeah, okay.
Confidence is key. Sorry, I lost track.
Oh, no, you're fine.
We'll fix it in post. It's cool.
We won't.
But confidence is key, which is why it's only weird if you make it weird. It definitely will be weird, and both parties will most likely feel the weirdness, but if you just power through it enough, then it'll become more normal.
Okay.
Yeah. You kind of have to at this point, because like we talked about, the clickiness is very strong here. There's not that kind of receptiveness that you might get.
The clickiness is strong in this one.
There's not that kind of receptiveness that you might get somewhere where it's not as competitive, not as like individuals just striving to be, better or like succeed in this lifestyle. So that's really the best way to do it if you have the confidence, which a lot of people don't.
That's true. You're definitely gonna meet people that you would like absolutely click with that you definitely wouldn't have seen or known about. Just general symbiosis with strangers is the hardest thing to gauge.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, once you have it, you have it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of like riding a bike, or learning how to ride a bike rather. And like once you know how to do it, you can not do it for a while and still like you have that latent skill. Like your brain just memorizes the pattern.
Yeah.
I would also like to pose that people who have the confidence to do that and like connect and like ping pong pretty much between clicks, I feel like it's their job to take the people who don't have that confidence and introduce them to new people.
Right.
I feel like in that way the clickiness of the school kind of fixes itself, because like every new year there'll always be people who have that same kind of mindset towards strangers, and people who also have the same mindset of like being closed off or hermiting. And like we're on a campus and where you have both of these, and like the forces just kind of interact, and most of the time it's for the good, but sometimes it doesn't really work out.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the whole like silent shunning that can happen.
Yeah. The saying is like a rising tide lifts all boats. If you have one person who can do that ping pong in between clicks, and like you said, if they interact with people, if they try to bring up people, that clickiness would clickiness would fix itself, but that doesn't really happen.
Yeah, it doesn't really happen. And that's because I think honestly the people who the rising tides are busy.
Yeah, and also they're just trying to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Because acclimating to this sort of ecosystem is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to get
It's a lot of
used-
work.
It's a lot of work, and it's hard to get used to life on campus. So I mean, those people that are very extroverted and they're very gifted at spreading themselves are, well, okay, not in that way, but
Oh.
but they're just not gonna be for it all the time because they are busy and they are being acclimated. And the problem here is people are too comfortable with being comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. People are too comfortable with being comfortable, and they feel like after a certain point, if you are comfortable, then there's nothing bad with it. It feels good. There's nothing that is forcing me to not be comfortable, and why would I want to not be comfortable?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think.
And like especially the struggle that it takes to become comfortable.
Yeah,
Like once
yeah.
you have it, it's like why would you want to change that?
Exactly. But I mean, then over time, once you are comfortable, life will definitely get boring.
Yeah.
And on campus, you'll miss so many opportunities with different kinds of people because there's so many people that come here. Okay. Back to the TV metaphor analogy.
All right, no, it's fine. It's a good analogy.
There are many characters on campus. They're like the amount of ambition that it takes to get here, you definitely have to be a certain type of person.
Mm-hmm.
And so your personality will show. Even if you're not even extroverted, that's still, you are a character. And so I love going around and just like
Having characters.
yeah, and just having these interactions. Like some people, they will act based on how they will act, and it is the funniest thing to me. I think it's hilarious. I love being a part of it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
and
like it.
that's kind of like the instance of magic, and whereas like, despite the fact that like it's really hard, you still kind of find your stride, and
Yeah.
you still are able to have fun with it. And as long as you're having fun with this school in some way, shape, or form, you'll be fine.
Yeah. It's weird because they want it to be, they say that they, it's like, oh, we welcome everyone. They want it to be inviting, but it's easy to tell from the very first like orientation weeks, they want to get rid of people that there are certain people that are not supposed to be here. As in like, if you don't have the same ambition, if you don't have the will, like a growth mindset or the will to like succeed, then you shouldn't be here. And they won't say it explicitly or directly, but they will definitely make it seem that way with the workload, with just general like micromanaging. First couple of weeks basically is just learning how to micromanage
And weeding out the people that can't.
and weeding out the people that can.
That's actually a really interesting take.
Yeah. And it is after a certain point, everything does calm down and it is more welcoming, but it's basically like army training at first.
Okay.
Just very, very, they're on to us about everything. You got to learn about the different rules, which is why they've always say that you're going to end up with a level. And a level is, we have like a punishment scale where it's like level 1 is
like minor infractions such as missing school or or sleeping through your classes rather, or like minor disputes, I believe. Or like disrespect, disobeying admin, stuff like that. That can give you level 1. Level 2s are a bit more egregious offenses, such as the possession of paraphernalia, more severe disrespect, harm to others and or yourself. And in level 3s, that's like the big boy stuff. That's like being caught fornicating,
Good verb.
being caught
with any substance.
any substance, using substances,
Sexual harassment.
major disrespect, and also pretty much anything that would break like U.S. law. Because like
Any felony or misdemeanor.
any felony or misdemeanor.
Which is why they always say you're gonna end up with a level, and I feel like that is the most when you have
imposing.
The most imposing and intimidating
it's a
thing.
threat.
It is basically because when you have such a small scale of just only 2 more levels and I'm gone.
Yeah.
At level 3, well, it can get you out of here.
Yeah,
And
level
so-
threes. If you get a level 3, you are due to a fair trial, and if you are found guilty for your literal crime, then
Yeah.
you will be expelled.
Yeah, and it's like I ended up with a level 3 from just, or no, not. Wait, no, not a level
Surprised you're still here.
Not a level 3. No, God, no. I ended up with level 1 from literally just, I missed
two classes.
sleeping through, oh, no, I think it was 3. I think, yeah, I slept through 2 classes and I missed 1, but I don't know how. So I got 3 absences. And that was just like, I did that so early. That was before our first like official break. And so that was
It's kind of a punch in the chest.
it is a punch in the chest. And that sort of thing, I don't know how you can come back from that if you aren't ambitious. Not to say that I'm, like, not to hype myself up, but like
Because like that ambition comes through people who will like they see the rule book and they rise over it by carefully examining it and doing things in such a way that they can't get booked for it.
Yeah.
And that's why the rule book is so thick, because it's kind of like machine learning, because like as every like new jumpstart kid finds some way to break the rules, they have to add that in.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
revised every year because the year before someone did something and they're like,
yeah.
And then Alex and I both ended up sleeping through some classes and getting level 1s. And the way that they display that to you is obviously meant to be the most intimidating, like, this is the real world now. Like,
You screwed up.
level
Yeah.
1 notification. You have been sanctioned with a level
Sanctioned.
1.
Yeah. And you can either take that as, oh, maybe this isn't for me. And I honestly took that. That's what I took it at. I was like, am I not ready for this? Or you can be like, you know what? I ate the level, as people say here. I ate the level, and now I just got to keep it trucking.
Yeah, definitely.
We just went to 2, like, basically detention sessions, and that
Yeah.
was that.
Yeah.
And so we've hit the 40-minute mark now. This was a very thorough conversation. Do you guys feel that we can keep going, or we can end things here?
I'd be fine with
We
concluding.
can probably end it.
Okay, cool. Well, it was a pleasure having you two. You guys have some very insightful things to say. Thank you, audience, for listening to another episode of the Quixotic Topic. That's a one of
Working
the
title?
Yeah, it's a working title, work in progress. It's one of the things I'm fielding. But thank you for joining me. My name has been Daquan. This is
Alex Wooden.
and
Daniel Doherty.
we'll catch you later. Goodbye.